Are the takes hot or is it just me? Hi, my name is Tori, and let's see if these are some terrific takes. Now, first, before we get into the takes themselves, this is episode one, so I do want to introduce myself to the people that don't know me. Some of you might know me because I do a lot of yapping, but definitely my name is Tori. I'm 37 years old, living in Maryland. Currently, that could change, that could change. But currently living in Maryland, I'm heavy into fashion, politics, astrology, tarot, pretty much every facet of life. So we're gonna talk about everything, every single thing. Now, some things about me: I am single. I might be wearing a ring, but I'm single. So don't let that fool you. Don't let that fool you. Am I dating currently? No. Ooh, child. I'm currently not dating. No. Am I looking to date? That's up for interpretation. All right, now. What else about me? I'm a psychic. I do have a professional psychic business. However, if you'd like to, get a reading from me, you can do that definitely on Instagram. I also do run another podcast. It's the Empire Exchange podcast. That is every week. It's for your weekly tarot. However, I'm gonna do a small tarot gathering on this show as well because once again, that's like my bread and butter. I'm always gonna go to that at the end of the day. So, but I was just using my deck my two decks that I made. And that's it. Okay. Now let's move into the takes. And before I get into the takes, I do want to. Sorry, I'm writing and talking. Apparently, I can't do both. I do want to say disclaimer: everything here is my opinions. Everything here is also based on, some of them are facts, so a lot of it is alleged. So, what that means is, don't take it to heart. Everything I say is face value. And once again, these are my opinions so that we can form a positive discourse around these topics and situations. That's exactly what our comment section is for. Positive discourse. And help, formulate your own opinion. I love seeing different perspectives of an idea. I'm the type of person that loves to base my perspective, and then when somebody shows me a different perspective, I like to look at it in another lens, and then that actually gives me a different perspective of the entire situation. So, with that being said, let's jump into the takes. Now, as always, like I said, I'm going to do my tarot take. First, I'm going to use my personal tarot deck here that I have made. Some of you know about this, some of you don't. Once again, Empire Exchanges, we're going to get a full weekly reading. Spirit, what can we look forward to for this grouping here? We have Divine Death. So here's the thing about this, is I feel like when it comes to Divine Death, we have a couple. Divine Death, Divine Union, the Moon, and the Emperor of Wands. For some of you, you might be getting in some sort of like a connection that's coming back around. For a few of you, you might be making a decision that's going to involve a rebirth. However, I do think things are being highlighted to you at this time. These are things you didn't see, didn't notice, didn't really feel. However, the key word that I'm feeling with all of these cards is change. You are going through some changes, whether that change is massive, which it looks like it might be, or whether something small, something has got to end for something new to begin. Somebody could be ending a relationship to start a new relationship with somebody who, they are actually in love with. This could be a major choice to move on from something here. This could even be so as much as like you following your intuition to move forward. Now, this Emperor of Wands could be a person, like a fire sign person coming into your life, or it could just be some unexpected income. Honestly, all of these could be about unexpected income, unexpected finances, and movement forward. So take that at face value. Now I'm going to use my Oracle deck real quick. Spirit, what else do we have for the collective for this episode of Terrific Takes? We have the root chakra. One more. And, all right, thank you. And the numerous. So, pretty much follow your intuition. You might have abilities yourself, but I really think this is you uncovering truths. We have Aries on the bottom. You could be an Aries, have Aries traits. Either way. Or just movement and activity towards something. Yeah, you're moving towards something here that you feel intuitively guided to. That's actually foundation for you. So keep moving in that foundational area. All right, now, because I'm a reader myself, I do think that there are certain like ethics that we have to abide by. Now, once again, these are my thoughts. I've seen a lot on social media, especially where readers were like, do a reading for Michael Jackson or like somebody who's passed on, or just to be all up in somebody's business. I don't think that's correct. I don't think we should be doing that. However, once again, you're your own person. Just because I say I don't think we should be doing that doesn't mean that we don't have to, but I think it's unethical. I think as readers, we do have a responsibility to be, honest and use people's energy wisely. So to me, that's not using energy wisely. That's getting yourself in some mess that you shouldn't have. My guides would yell at me. Don't know about anybody else's, but mine wouldn't be having it. Okay. These glasses like to fall all the time. All right, so those are my tarot takes. Now we're going to do my hot takes. Now, hot takes are just things that I randomly picked up and threw in here. Each episode is going to have about 20 hot takes. And I'm going to give you my opinion on each of these hot takes. You can take it, you can leave it, you can tell me to, shove it up my behind, whatever you like, also, I'm going to attempt not to curse. That's going to be really hard because if you know a Marylander, that's all we do. So, with that being said, let's jump into these hot takes. First is social media. Now, my social media takes are why are there so many think pieces? Oh, if something happens, 900 people got to say the same exact thing. I understand everybody has their thoughts and opinions, but what I don't get is why does everybody's thoughts and opinions have to be shouted out loud? Or and I'm sitting here virtually doing the same thing, so I mean, whatever. But like it's very interesting to me that like those thoughts and opinions come off of the back of drama. People love drama. This I 100% understand. This I 100% know. This is what I have seen. People love drama. So much so that like they gotta speak on it. Which all right, whatever. I'm not gonna control what people do, but I need some chapstick. My lips feel a little weird. Yeah, I'm not gonna control what people do, but people love drama. And with that drama though, there comes dog piling. I'm gonna actually touch on this in a little bit. We'll take Jules LeBron as like one of the people. Like they dog piled on her massively. And if you say him in the comments, you will be dealt with. But they dog piled on her massively, and to me that's not correct. I feel like yes, okay to give your opinion, but I don't think 800 people need to give the same exact opinion and 900 people need to validate that one opinion. Just saying, we should all be, having different perspectives on things and moving in different directions. But it is what it is. Speaking of social media opinions, the first one that I have here is trans versus cis. No, that's not a thing. Let's be real. Trans people in America are really dogged out right now. So instead of like beating them down the way we are, we need to uplift them. Now this does come off the backs of a a podcast episode from Drew Wallow, and I forget the other person's name. I didn't write it down here, and I should have. Um, but they were saying that trans people have a more beautiful understanding. Keyword here: beautiful understanding of womanhood, because they aren't as guarded for the most part. I'm not going to go into exactly what they said because you can look up the clip too. If I had looked up, you got to look it up. But that has spun into a lot of things that it shouldn't be spun into. One thing I have written down here is cis being used as a slur. Nobody's ever using cisgender as a slur. I don't know where people are getting that from. I've never seen it. I have never once seen it. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but I mean, come on. Now, all this is rooted in transphobia, because essentially, think about it. If they're offended by the word cis, which means they are okay with the word trans, that means that they don't even view you as, if you are trans, that is, they don't view you as like a human. They just view you as it. Which that's kind of we'll dive into that a little bit. But I feel like if you all want to be called cis or not be called cis, that's fine. That's fine. But you also have to respect trans people when they don't want to be called trans. Woman is a woman at the end of the day. And if you don't like it, that's on you. All right. Now, speaking of trans women, we are going to talk about the trans woman of, I don't know. I can't even call her that right now. I'm going to talk about Sydney Starr. Now, Sydney Starr she's the same age as me. She's probably been around for almost about 10 years. Long story short, she's a transgender woman that somehow her claim to fame is she did something with Chingy. I caught myself. She did something with Chingy. And here's the thing. I think that was debunked, and I think she even apologized for that, which, whatever. It's still weird that you did that, girl. Like, let's be real. Let's be real here. It's weird you did that. But she just got arrested not too long ago and is looking at life in prison, I believe, which her charges are all over the place. And she's in Georgia when that happened, and Georgia don't play none of that, especially for Black trans women. So she's definitely there. I think she needs to stay there. Now, what she did to get there, if you don't know, she happened to be at a hotel. There was some sort of football event for like some kids. She somehow talked this 13-year-old boy into her hotel room. He ended up getting scared because she was trying to do something with a 13-year-old, which I don't get it. Let's be real here. Hold on. Anybody who touches children is odd to me, because what do you mean you want that? Like, they aren't even old enough to like think about these things. It is beyond me. But either way, she got arrested at the hotel. Apparently, she still had a rubber on. I don't know. Once again, none of my business. But here's the thing, though, is that like I'm actually really, really. I'm not saying glad, because that's a terrible word to use, but it's very understandable that this situation was used as a standalone situation for her versus it being put on the Black trans community, because that's what they don't need right now. That's what none of us needs right now, is to put that on the Black trans community as a whole. So I'm really relieved that this is a single standalone situation for Sydney Starr. All right, now trans people, while we're talking about them, and this is just all trans people, not just Black trans people, but all trans people. We have passable trans people, and we have bricks. Now, I hate using the term bricks, because to me, bricks means that you just look like a brick. And that's essentially what it means. But like, I think it's a little mean. Most trans girls are a little bricky when they first start. In fact, all of them are a little bricky. Nobody comes out looking all extra, what do they say? We used to say fish back in the day, but I don't think that's what they say anymore. Whatever they say now. I'm not using the see you next Tuesday word. So that. I personally think that in order to pass, you do have to be a brick at some point. Some of us stay bricks for years. Some of us stay bricks for years. Because I've had some bricky moments. But I do think in order for you to pass, you do have to go through a bricky phase. Once you go through it and it's all done, you're all set. You were all set. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it. It's done. It's over with. That normally happens like your 5th or 6th year in transition. But for some people, who knows? All right, now Jeffree Star is actually next. Now Jeffree Star actually came up as like a androgynous. I would have thought trans back then, but androgynous. Actually made music, then had a makeup brand, which I think is still around today. I haven't heard them post any new pictures or anything. I really hope that music isn't too loud for y'all, because it's kind of booming over here. So we're gonna turn it down a little bit. Sorry. Okay, we'll do that. Okay. So yeah, Jeffree Star. It's pretty much just the terrible person. Jeffree Star has been racist. Apparently they said they weren't drunk, and I'm gonna use they because Jeffree Star claims to be a man now, but you're still the same Jeffree Star we knew way back when. Now recently he's been in the news with the whole Jules LeBron situation, which I'm actually gonna hop into in just a second. But either way, Jeffree, I haven't seen no new makeup, but I also have never purchased, never, and I mean never purchased any Jeffree Star makeup. Even when it's on sale at TJ Maxx for like 10 cents, I wouldn't. Now, Jeffree Star lives in Wyoming, which you move from California to Wyoming, right? It's cheaper. A lot of people do that, and that's not the problem. The problem is that you pay men, allegedly, to come out to you, and they have awful experiences. There's a couple very well-known situations of that. You are constantly on TikTok begging for money, and you're still stealing content from Black women. So Jeffree Star will never get a pass in my book. In fact, the passes are out. We're done. You can go eat rocks. For all I care. If you ever happen to see this video, you're gonna be blocked. You are gonna be blocked. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't have time. I think Jules got you together, and I think you've been salty ever since. So just relax, boo. I think it's time for you to go hide. Speaking of Jules, now Jules, I love Jules. I love Jules because Jules is authentically herself. Now she recently was under fire because she used to have a drug addiction. Girl, same. Same. A lot of people don't know that about me. Well, if you ask, I tell you, but a lot of people just don't know that about me. I used to be addicted to substances, but anyway, had a drug addiction. And I understand when she's talking about her whole mouth hurt, because there was a point where I was like, this is crazy. But she could be just, also, because for me, that was just a withdrawal. So she could have been withdrawing from something. But either way, her mouth hurt. She couldn't take it. Understandable. Mouth pain is the worst. So she just politely asked her subscribers for, to help her out with $45,000. Put up a GoFundMe. She even said in this in this video, she said that, yes, I would love to go out and get a job, by quote, and I'm quoting this. Yes, I would love to go get a job. However, that's not going to help my situation at this time. And somehow, that one sentence twisted in everybody's mind to fuck you, to screw you guys. I'm not going to get a job. Just give me your money. So it spiraled out of control. That's when Jeffree Star popped up again. Jeffree Star even so as much went to a dentist himself and was like, "This is very demure. I paid for it myself." Girl. Jeffree, bye. So I'm actually really glad that Jules came back and read Jeffree for Filth. And when I said read Jeffree for Filth, like, if you haven't seen the read, let me know and I'll send it to you, because it was crazy. Crazy, and I applaud it. But I've always been a Jules fan. Jules was getting canceled, and that kind of brought her back from being canceled. So God bless. I hope everything works out for her. Now, next on my list though is Samira. If you don't know who Samira is, she is a content creator and a singer. She's actually a really good singer. Who had began being an activist against fat phobia. Now, here's the thing about fat phobia. It's trust me, as a bigger girl myself, it's around. People, it does exist. It does exist, and now it's just interesting that people are like telling her to shut up. There's a Skinnylicious menu at what is that place called? Cheesecake Factory, I believe, and she went off on that. Which, okay, sis, I get where you're going with that, but relax. And then that's on the floor. More recently, she made a Happy Fat Tuesday a song or whatever. But she has beef with Old Navy. And she also has beef with Cardi B. I love Cardi B. I love Samira. That's all I'm saying about that. That is what it is. But like, so anyway, I'll be getting a message because I just got one. But she actually took pictures in like the same outfits that Cardi B took pictures in for the Old Navy ad, which I thought was a little odd, a little awkward. But girl, do what you do. In theory, somebody made this point, and I'm gonna actually make this point here too. We're all one doctor's appointment, one medical emergency away from needing her activism. Which, if you think about it, plus size girls' clothes does not look cute. I don't think I've ever really seen really many plus size girl clothes that looked okay. They ain't really all that cute. So, all right, next we're gonna talk about a lot of other isms and phobias that are in the media right now. Racism. I have seen more racism in the past month than I think I've ever seen. Period. And I need that to stop ASAP. When I say stop ASAP, it needs to end. It needs to end. And when I say end, I mean end today. Transphobia. Here's the thing: you can't be a trans person or even aspiring trans person and want to exist, because people are gonna knock you down before you even get the chance to even feel yourself, which is really sad because trans people already have one of the higher rates of suicide. But when you see people dogpiling on trans people every single day, it makes it worse. So for any baby trans out there, you are seen, you are heard, you are loved. Just remember, do not let them hurt you. Don't let what they say is words. They really can't do anything. That's, at the end of the day, we're all people. We all have rights to live, and to exist. Something else that really bugs me right now, Islamophobia. Now, there's just a lot of that because of what's going on in the political sector, which I'll touch on. I think I touched on some in this episode, honestly. If not, I'm definitely touching on it in the next episode. But Islamophobia is crazy. I need that to stop today. Because there is no way that the mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani, or and if I said their names wrong, I apologize, or the guy who's running for senator in Michigan, doctor. He's a doctor, by the way. Dr. Abdul El Said. If I said it wrong, I apologize. Either way, there's no way that you can look at them and be like, 9/11. That is weird to me. That is crazy. And in fact, that's so crazy to me that just shows that's also racism. Because you mean to tell me you look at a brown person and you automatically associate them to something that they had they were Americans. They lived on American soil when that happened. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, both of them were children. They're around the same age I am. So that's crazy to me. So it's a little odd. I'm being real with you. That's a little odd. Well, speaking of that, by the way, it's also a little odd that the only time that tragedy is spoken about is when it comes to Black and brown people. Now, we don't talk about this any other time unless Black and brown people are involved. And even if it's like black and brown people, but they still are white passing. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. That's actually my topic of the week. It's part of my topic of the week. We're going to jump down to the next thing I have here, and that is peptides. Now, I don't know much about peptides. I do want to take them though because I want to like lose weight myself. So in the comments, if you are on peptides or if you've had a great experience, share that because I do want to know, if they work, if you believe in them. Now, only thing I have seen that I'm not too sure about. I'm 37. I don't want to take peptides and look 82. I've seen a lot of 24-year-olds take peptides and look older than I am. To be fair though, Gen Z is a little weird because Gen Z looks a lot older than all the other generations. But once again, we're going to touch on that in a different episode because I'm pretty sure Gen Z is the new boomers. Sorry, I said it. You'll be fine. Just fight in the comments. Who cares? Next is the Nolan Wells case. Now, if you don't know anything about this case, first, I don't know how you don't. I think he was 18. 18-year-old, 4th of July, went missing first. A couple days later, his body washed up on the shore in this like little island type thing, which I come to find out has no record of drownings for like 6 years. Apparently he drowned. There were like a couple autopsies done. One was done without his lungs. Some inconclusive results. It's to the point where Nancy Grace is on the case and she's doing her job. And Nancy Grace may not have been the greatest of people to do some things, but I appreciate her in this situation because, girl, somebody has to let them know, and you were the one. Now, it is odd to me. I'm not saying that anything crazy happened because, in theory, we don't know. And I'm not one to speculate until I have. I'm not one to super speculate. I have my thoughts and opinions, and I'm gonna tell you in just a second. But it is crazy to me, like the friends have done more interviews with media than I feel like they've done with police. It's interesting to me that they're crowdfunding. They have a GoFundMe up for lawyers for a possible trial. It's also weird to me that Miss Rachel is doing the bare minimum here, and people are like crapping all over her. In my opinion, I think that boy was. I think it was an honest mistake. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not saying that these boys did this maliciously. I could be wrong. I am a human. I could be wrong. And I'm trying to hope that they didn't just go murder this child or, attack this child. But it could have been a fight that gone wrong. And all the circumstances are making it look even worse. So even if it was a possible accident, they're trying to cover up this accident like crazy. Even like the mixed kid that was like I don't know, something springs back was the weirdest thing to me. And I'm a firm believer in like y'all would have been fine if you just would have shut up. If y'all just would have shut up, everything would have been fine. But no. Y'all did not want to shut up, so that's why we're here. Okay. On to the next one. Speaking of racism, and once again, Miss Rachel has been posting about this, and I definitely want to make sure she's taken care of because she cares. We should always be listening to our Black children. There's a lot of lynchings in Mississippi. Mississippi has always been a hotbed racist state. It's just really, really insane right now. Let's believe it or not, and I don't know, you might believe it, who knows? Black people aren't lynching themselves. They aren't swinging themselves from trees. So let's keep that in mind. That's not happening. That's not happening, never has happened, and I think we need to understand that there's somebody behind this. And the more that they cover it up, the more people are getting upset about it. Now, what's interesting to me is there aren't a lot of actual Black people talking about this type of stuff. Like, you'll have your occasional group of Black people, but like massive statewide or massive countrywide, it's not happening. Even celebrities aren't talking about these things. So The more that we can bring attention to it, the better. So in the comments, put some names of these people so that we can keep their names alive. We can keep these investigations going, and we can make sure that the people who have done these things will get they'll get justice. That's what we want. We want justice. Speaking of justice, the next person's actually DL Whisper. I'm pretty sure if you follow me, you know who that is. If you don't follow me and you're a new subscriber, or you want to click that now if you're not. But the DL Whisper is I don't even know his real name because I didn't really care to look at it. He was very interesting a few months back. Pretty much was talking about T.S. Madison. I know he has some type of vendetta against trans women, which I don't understand. I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea. I don't understand where it's going. I don't understand where it came from. There's a vendetta against trans women. So he has one. Don't understand why. Maybe he needs to fix it. Either way, it got to the point where he was talking about unaliving them. And I'm gonna use unalive because once again, I don't want this taken down anywhere. Unalive, or like driving past their house. T.S. Madison, to be specific. I love T.S. Madison, love Dominic Morgan. But here's the thing. He got aggravated stalking charges so bad that he got 8 years on probation. And he has to move 3 counties away, which I understand. He can't talk about any of T.S. Madison's associates, personal or work related. Her, or there's a couple other people in this case too. Can't really speak about any of them. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting. Tasha K, which if you've been on the YouTube streets, which I'm sure you may have, Tasha K has been around for years. She's a blogger, I guess you could say, a celebrity blogger. I guess you could say. I have no idea what she actually does. She's also very transphobic. Let's be real. So her and DL Whisper became friends. They was chopping it up. I'm gonna be honest with you. Tasha K actually got sued by Cardi B, and allegedly, I don't think she's paid that back yet. But she's also, once again, everything I say is alleged here, because I didn't look into this situation. I don't care about some of these people that much to look into it. But these are things I'm going to speak on. It's all part of the story. Either way, she owes Cardi B some money, allegedly, and I think if he goes back to jail, which will result in 10 years, by the way, it's going to be because of Tasha K or anybody else he associates with, and that's going to be his problem. We're going to talk a little bit about politics here. You're going to start with the Iran war. Now, the Iranian people, first of all, let me just say, I love the culture in the Middle East. And when I say the culture, I mean like more of the food, like the ancient practices, that type of thing. I'm not a big fan of policies of, Middle East. Sharia law, not a big fan of that. But here's the thing. That's how they live. That's not something that us as Americans can just go in and say, screw you. That's wrong. And I do think Americans need to mind their business when it comes to that type of stuff. Is it wrong? Yes. Not approving of it at all. It's just we also need to understand that's how they live. We have problems here that we got to fix first, but I'm going to get to that now. Why are we in this war? Quickly, somebody put in the comments. I'm going to give you a couple seconds. Okay, exactly. There's no real reason. There's a real reason, and it's that country that has white and blue. I don't even know what their beef is, to be fair. I'm gonna look into that, let y'all know. But I do think that this war is going to end at some point. Now, I had a psychic, like I was scrolling on TikTok. There was a psychic that said they believe that they're gonna throw a nuke at Iran. I could see that happening because DJT is so unhinged. So unhinged. And at this point, I mean, he might just sneeze too hard, shit in his diaper, and hit a button. So, there we go. But yeah, there's definitely that. Now, speaking of DJT, the whole plane thing where she left in a food cart to get on another plane and left everybody else on the plane is crazy to me. Which that's the reason why I think KK Caroline left. Once again, this is all alleged in my opinions. I think she left because of that, because she has a new baby. She's pretty young. I don't like her, but she wouldn't deserve to explode in a plane or anything. That's ridiculous. She does not deserve that. Doesn't deserve that at all. So either way, I also think Natalie Harp has a lot to do with this. Now, Natalie Harp is a whole section in itself. I'm currently doing research on her to put into a future episode, but that's a wild situation. And I think they're actually actively out there, smashing. Absolutely not. Um, I do think she might change a diaper or two. She might burp them on her every now and then. I definitely do think she. Well, I think I've seen this. She types in his post for True Social, or Liars Anonymous is what I'm gonna call that. And all of this is alleged, except for that I did see her type in, so she probably does do that. But either way, we'll talk about Natalie Harper another time. I'm glad KK Caroline is gone. If I'm not mistaken, is it Scott Denning? Once it was applying technically for that position. I don't care who's there. I just need somebody who's actually going to talk and actually be nice and give the American people actual answers. That's what this is about. Americans need answers, and you guys need to get them to us. Is that hard? Is that hard? Maybe I'm asking for too much. I'm asking for too much. I am. All right. Next, we're gonna talk about Jake Lang and Chud the Builder. We're gonna start on Chud the Builder real quick. He's on Twitch, not Twitch, the other one, Kick, which I think needs to be kicked out. In Tennessee, he incited some sort of he does racial rage baiting, which I think is so weird, because how are you gonna make someone angry, and then when they get angry, oh, you're chimping out. Chimping out. So I think he got beat up, if I'm not mistaken. He got beat up and tossed in jail. Or no, he got caught with a gun. A pew. In GTA. So he got caught with a pew in GTA. And apparently that landed him in jail. I think he just bailed out $1 million. Make America healthy again. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Back. Jake Lang is the next one. He's a January 6er who has felony terroristic charges currently in Texas. He just actually got arrested in either, I know he was in Dearborn and started all kinds of mess, Michigan. And then he went to Minnesota and had his some sort of N-word rally. I'm not gonna say it. He was arrested in Minnesota, and the charges that I saw were for possession of a controlled substance, but there might have been something else. Also inciting a riot is what I saw. So those are all over the place, but he definitely was arrested yesterday or this morning, one of the two. Either way, thank Jesus. Please keep him there. Just, why are these people getting out of jail? Why does the American justice system continuously, and I said that we're continuously, make sure that the offenders keep offending? It's weird to me, and it's odd, and that's going to be on an episode 2. Sorry, I'm writing it down. But definitely now, we're going to go into Make America Healthy again. We're not healthy. We can't eat anything. There's too many food recalls, and we have a man with the brainworm in charge, JFK. This man is talking about snorting coke off of toilet seats, and we expect him to be in charge of making sure we're all healthy. There's no CDC. There's half the recalls are because they cut the teams that are supposed to check for this stuff. We have mystery meat getting ready to come in the United States because we can't keep our own farmers fed. Yeah, that's an entire situation, but I think he needs to go. He needs to go. I think he's the next one that needs to go. We'll talk about Pete in the next episode, I believe. But they all need to get rerouted and like out of here. Uh, okay, so we're gonna talk about some dating takes. Then I'll get to my take of the week. Now, when it comes to these dating takes, they're mostly my experience. Sorry, I zoned out for a second. They're mostly my experience. Now, from my experience, most men actually don't want companionship. They want compassion from a partner. Now, that's just because like every man I've ever been with has always used me for emotional purposes and not necessarily. Well, I mean, okay, let's rephrase that. They've used me for emotional purposes as well as sexual activities. So I mean, some of them are okay. I'm not that mad about it. But the more I sit back and like think about it, and the more I have time to like figure out what the hell happened, the more I get angry. The more I get angry, and actually, right now I'm kind of getting angry. So I'm gonna use this time to manifest my type. I already put a manifestation up, and I'm pretty sure that's the person they're gonna bring me. But I want to manifest my type here. Just tell you exactly what I'm looking for personally, because that's how you manifest. You just throw it out there. I want somebody I can build an empire with, whether it's some sort of content or like, and I'm not talking about like that adult content, although that might be fun, but I'm not talking about that. Just some sort of content. Whether it's because I want to get more active on like Twitch and like YouTube and all kinds of stuff from it. So I would love to be able to shift to that. So somebody who I can build an empire, immediate empire with. That's what I'm looking for. As far as like what they look like, I don't really have a preference there. I'm super attracted to brown skinned men. Brown skinned men and lighter complected men on average. Chest hair as a must. I would like to be taller than I am. I'm almost 6 foot. They're 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". I'm good. I'd like that. I'm not saying that that's a deal breaker. Anything else I want to portray here as far as how they act? I mean, who doesn't want to what is it, either way, who doesn't want a gentleman in the streets and a freak in the sheets? That's what I was looking for. Boom. So that's the kind of vibe that I'm going for. Now, older, I don't want them to be much older than me. We're gonna say no more than like 40. We'll do 49. Well, was that too old? Yeah, 47. 47. We'll do 47. 10 years. And no younger than 30. Yeah, 30. We'll do 30. All right. So that's that. But here's the thing, and I'm gonna say this to you guys because why not? Don't settle. Don't settle. I'm not gonna settle. You shouldn't settle. Why? Because what's the point in settling? You don't get what you want if you settle. Like I said, I want somebody who's establishing themselves. You don't have to be rich, but be established in yourself. Be established in yourself. Make it so that I can actually come in and start building. That's what I want, to be able to come in, start building, and you be like, I got you. Then eventually both of us become rich. That's kind of the vibe. All right, now we're going to do takes of the week. My take of the week is Republicans. And Republicans right now are very interesting to me because they're doing a lot of this like blame game, but not focusing on any policy. If you know me, I am very, very into politics. And Republicans, like I said, they're doing this blame game, which I don't really go for the blame game. I think it's stupid. Especially, it's even dumber when you blame a man who is not even a politician. They're blaming like Hassan Piker. We're actually gonna use Hassan Piker here. They're blaming him for a lot of shit. It's like they're putting everything on him, and I think it's weird because, like I said, he personally said he's never gonna run. If he does later down the road, that's his business. But if you guys don't know who Hassan Piker is, he definitely is like DSA forward. He's part of the movement. DSA all day, same here. I do think that his policy, like, oh, not his policies. I'm sorry, he's not a politician. I do think the policies he promotes are very progressive. But here's the thing: they are aggressively progressive. I don't think we've gotten to a point in society where the aggressive progressives have made sense. Now we have progressives, and I'm not saying he's aggressive. Let's keep it real. I'm not saying he's aggressive or and I think I said his policies are aggressive progressive, but they're aggressive in the sense of like, this is what the people want. So let's give the people what they want. Not in the sense of like, I'm going to be radical for it. Because let's be real, they're to make him look like a monster. In fact, I think he said something like, I don't know, America deserved 9/11. I'm sick of hearing it. He apologized for it. Let it slide. But here's the thing. How are they going to get mad at him and say everybody needs to denounce him when in all actuality, didn't our president sit with Aiden Ross and like Nick Fuentes? Which we all know Nick Fuentes just said some crazy things. He always says crazy things. That is what it is. But we're gonna just end that right there. I'm gonna add that to another episode. But I do think the media outlets are being weird. They have painted him in all kinds of lights that I think are odd. The one that I think is really, really stupid is anti-black. So when I first heard that, I was like, I mean, he's white passing. All right. Did we expect anything different? Until I actually looked into it, and come on, I think y'all are reaching. Y'all are reaching. If I'm not mistaken, I think it mostly stems from him not endorsing Kamala Harris. Let's be real, when Kamala Harris was running for president, he was virtually a nobody. Like, he was just starting to gain political fame, I guess you can say. But that wouldn't have made any difference regardless. I don't think I ever heard him say, don't vote for her. Which is another thing that people are saying. Which is also, there was a time where, there was beef between brown people and black people. There was beef when it comes to that type of stuff. Either way, I don't think he's anti-black. I don't. I think y'all are reaching. Now, I have heard through the grapevine, maybe it's from him, that he plans on suing, and I think he needs to. Sue the pants off of them. Sue the pants off of them. Because that's what you need to do. It's a little ridiculous now. Either way, thank you all for listening. Now, were those takes hot, or was it just me? Let me know if you thought those were terrific takes. Leave a comment on your thoughts. Let's start some positive discourse in the comment section. Leave a take or two. List a few in the comments there. Always remember to subscribe and like, and let's make sure that you also have a very terrific take.